Our case defending dozens of Navy SEALs and thousands of other service members is at a critical point in the legal process. You'll want to know what's happening coming up on July 24th. Hi, I'm Stuart Shepard, and this is First Liberty Live. Thank you for tuning in today. We're coming to you live from our headquarters in Texas. I'm going to be talking with Danielle Runyan, who is our attorney who heads up our military affairs. She is on the road today. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Stuart.
Good to see you. You and I spent some time recently chatting with one of our Navy SEALs who just retired after more than 2 decades of service to the country as a Navy SEAL. And a couple of days ago, I finished up editing the video that shares his family story. And we've not formally released it yet, but I wanted to give our First Liberty Live viewers a special sneak peek before everybody else gets to see it. It's called The Quiet Professional. Navy SEALs, an elite group known as the Quiet Professionals.
We're kind of like the jack of all trades, so we're doing air operations, we're doing land warfare, and then you get a block where you get to do your diving and your maritime operation stuff.
There's evidence that some of you do not belong here through your performance today.
The training regularly pushes them to the breaking point on purpose. Gabe says the trainers have to know how they'll react when their body is at the very edge and more is demanded.
That's built into the training. They want you to kind of reach that edge. You kind of hit that so many times that it almost becomes like second nature. Like now we have to band together. I can't do this by myself. Yeah, it's like a brotherhood.
At home, Gabe has another important title, Dad.
He's so strong and so gentle. It's the perfect combination. He loves the Lord so much. He is my moral compass. Sometimes I watch him play with our kids and I'm like, I need to be more fun. Like he's the dad that gets on the floor and is playing with the kids, piggyback rides, and he loves to teach them. He loves to do school with them or just life. He's, every kid's dream dad.
Gabe became one of First Liberty's Navy SEAL clients when the COVID mandate came down.
Definitely was opposed to getting the shot. Number one, it was just kind of like my religious opposition to it.
I felt more angry than Gabe did, just because I've seen everything that he's done, everything he's sacrificed.
Once the mandate came out, it felt like more abandonment. Like, who do you think you are? What do you think you're special? Why are you fighting this? Just do it. This is going to ruin your career. You're not going to get, your retirement.
Gabe was given an email that if he questioned COVID at all, that he was considered a domestic terrorist.
As a group, our clients were treated horribly, denied deployment, denied advancement opportunities, housed in unsanitary conditions. One was even told he could not travel for treatment for a traumatic brain injury. That's what led First Liberty to band together with dozens of SEALs to represent them. Attorney Danielle Runyan watches over military affairs.
Victory was always about maintaining the careers of our 4,000 Navy service members, and we were able to achieve that against all odds to make sure that these individuals could live out their faith and service, that they didn't give up their constitutional rights to serve our nation, and that they could continue to protect our freedoms.
It's a tough road to get to victory in court, but Gabe and Kelsey know there are little eyes watching to see how they react under pressure.
I remember Gabe saying to me, if I stand up for this, then I'm standing up for it for my kids, and then maybe they won't have to one day. And that a paycheck and a job weren't as important as doing what was right.
I think it's important to stand up for what I believe as a Christian. So that's what we're called to do, is to stand up for truth.
Danielle, caring for families like that is why we do what we do.
Absolutely. That is why I love my job. I love defending the religious liberty rights of our service members. There's really nothing more important to me than making sure that the people who protect our freedoms, that myself and our team are able to represent them and make sure that they're able to live out their faith and service.
And I appreciate the work that you do so much. This the case that we're going to talk about goes back a few years. It actually goes back to when COVID was in the headlines every day. We're all experiencing that in real time. And there came a mandate for Navy SEALs to take the COVID vaccine. Some people, because of their religious beliefs, ask for a religious accommodation to that. Give us the short version of the rest of the story from there. What happened and why this became a lawsuit?
So if we go back to August of 2021 is when the DoD and then thereafter the Navy instituted the COVID-19 vaccine mandate for all service members across all branches to get vaccinated. And as we have seen over the past nearly 3 years now, there were thousands, tens of thousands of military members who had religious reasons for wanting to not take the vaccine. However, in the case of our Navy SEALs, almost immediately after they even spoke the word religion, they were immediately discriminated against, coerced into getting the vaccine. Some were removed from it. Well, all of them were removed from their duties, but some were forced to perform duties such as picking lint out of Velcro. Others were just, told that they didn't have a place anymore in the service. Really, really troubling and disturbing things that we were hearing across the board. So we filed our lawsuit on behalf of 35 of our individual plaintiffs. We were very successful. In January of 2022, the judge said, okay, no more kicking people out, no more kicking these plaintiffs out. And thereafter, we decided that we were going to bring the 4,000 other clients that we now represent in the Navy along for being able to be protected from being removed from their careers.
It is hard to overstate how big a deal it is for an organization the size of ours to go ask a federal judge to tell the Navy, you don't know what you're doing here, you need to do it differently. It's astonishing that we got the judge to say you need to cut it out.
Absolutely. It was a tremendous feat. All the case law that predated our case basically says that the military has significant deference in making decisions for service members. And that's understandable considering the mission that our military has. However, in the case of what was going on here, it was very clear from the beginning that the discrimination was across the board, that it was totally contrary to the policies that not only the Navy has, but the DoD. And frankly, these policies, they're very strong on paper. Service members have very strong religious liberty rights to be able to serve and exercise their religious beliefs. However, in practice, what was happening was quite different.
I want to get into just a little bit of the legal mechanics of this case, and that is what we're asking as relief for the hurt that was placed on these members of the military. And it's something called forward-looking relief. Let's talk about that. What is it we're asking for? Because that's the reason our case is still ongoing while all the others have fallen out.
So our case, as with many of the other cases, we're looking for forward-looking relief. So initially, what we achieved was the preliminary injunction, which means that's temporary relief to make sure that 4,000 of our clients remained employed and could maintain their careers. What our case was not about was fixing things that happened in the past. So even though many people are still harmed in the sense of they might have missed promotions, schooling opportunities, those are things that we look at in the rear view mirror. Those are things that if people still have some sort of harm that's resulting from that, they can pursue relief on their own to try and fix that. But what we're doing is being able to fix the things going forward. So we can get into it in a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead, but with respect to what our case is now, we have a proposed settlement agreement with the Navy. We're going to have a court hearing on July 24th regarding that. So our case is really winding down, and I'm happy to get into the details of what we're seeking in a forward-looking manner to continue to protect our clients' careers.
And that helps explain. When I tell people we're still on this case, many times they respond with, well, I thought that was already handled. I thought when the mandate went away that all of this went away. What you're explaining is this is why it's still going on, because we're trying to make these folks whole.
Yes, and what makes our case different than the other cases that were filed, the Air Force case, the case against the Marine Corps, Army case, is that we had identified specific issues that were problematic with the religious accommodation process that the Navy had. Now, while parts of our case are moot, just like the other cases, because the mandate was rescinded, there are certain reasons why our case continues. And those reasons include things that we're going to address in our settlement agreement that are addressed in our settlement agreement, is the fact that, people might have trouble promoting going forward because there were certain information included in their files related to COVID-19, related to what we'll call their quote unquote refusal. Well, now for the next 3 years, people are going to be able to meet promotion boards where the Navy is going to instruct those boards that adverse information related to COVID-19 can't be considered. Service members, both enlisted and officers, are able to submit information to those boards explaining precisely the type of information that should not be considered because perhaps that information doesn't explicitly reference COVID-19 and the reason why they had to submit a religious accommodation request, why they may have been pulled from their duties, and why they may have been doing jobs that don't match their duty titles.
And you're someone who's put on the uniform and still serve in the reserve. Those promotion boards are a big deal. I mean, that is your career, right?
Absolutely. That is our career. And, maybe somebody promoted pre-COVID and then look over the past 3 years, maybe they don't have stellar performance reports because, like I said, maybe they weren't performing the duties that they're typically assigned to be performing, commensurate with their duty titles. And now they're going to have an opportunity at the next promotion board and the next 3 promotion boards to be able to say, this is the reason why. And you know what? I'm an excellent, stellar sailor, and I should be considered for this promotion.
Very good. You mentioned July 24th and some of what's going on with that. Give us a fuller picture of what happens on that day. What's it all about?
Sure. So, we're going to be in court. The government's attorneys are going to be in court. If people, there's a process where if people feel that the settlement agreement doesn't really address the harms going forward, or if they have some issue or concern personally that we don't know about, because we do have 4,000 clients. Now, everybody did receive notice. The Navy did send notice to all of our clients. But that's basically just going to be a way for the court to hear from everybody to make sure that, this is a legitimate settlement agreement that we entered into with the government. And it's really about just having full transparency to make sure that what we're doing is actually protecting the class and it has their best interest in mind.
And by class is literally thousands of members of the Navy.
Over 4,000 Navy service members, yes.
What's your encouragement for those thousands of people that we're representing? If you could speak to them each individually, what would you say?
I would just say that it's been an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to represent each and every one of them, that there is not a day that goes by that not one person on our team is not concerned for them, for their careers. But we look at what we've achieved. I mean, listen, if not for anything, even if our case was declared moot for whatever reason going forward, the case law, the precedent that we have set that's on the books that people can use going forward is incredible. These are things that, frankly, at the beginning, it looked like an uphill climb, and at every turn and at every opportunity in this case, we were successful. And that is huge. And the fact that, perhaps if there's not another pandemic again, where thousands of service members are impacted, our case law benefits those individual service members who may face similar challenges, and they're going to be able to rely on that to help them bring their religious liberty claims in the future.
And one important aspect of this, we don't talk about it a lot, but it's important to talk about, is we often ask people to support our work, but one of the ways they can support our work is by praying for our work. I think July 24th is a day that people could put on their prayer list and be praying for in the days leading up to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the power of prayer is incredible. I think, frankly, the power of prayer over the past 3 years, I mean, this is all, but for God, we would not have achieved what we've achieved. And truly, it's been a blessing.
All right. Anything else you want to share before I let you go?
Just once again, representing service members is just a tremendous privilege, and anything we can do to help the people that protect our freedoms and their families to protect their families is what gets me up in the morning and gets me going.
All right. Danielle Runyan, thank you so much for making time for us. I appreciate the work that you do, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Stuart.
If you want to see America's religious heritage defended, you can make that happen with your support of First Liberty Institute. You can do that through prayer, or if you'd like to make a donation to the work we do, just look for the big red Give button at the top of the page on our website. First Liberty is fighting for what matters most.